Hello and welcome to eNews Park Forest. This is Congresswoman Robin Kelly. We're honored to have you with us today at eNews PF.
Honored to be with you.
I don't even know where to start because we've kind of crossed paths over the past few years, but my goodness, what's it been like under a Trump presidency?
You know, I tell people all the time, I'm an optimist, but it's been very frustrating because we've tried to pass bipartisan pieces of legislation, hundreds, and we still could not get anything, called in the Senate. And, some of the things that this president promised he would do or work on never really saw, the light of day, like infrastructure. He spent a lot of time, with trying to appeal the Affordable Care Act with no substitute, no alternative. So it felt oftentimes that he was trying to wipe out the Obama, presidency. And then when I think about a lot of different things, like we've been in chaos the last 4 years, and I'm not saying that we haven't taken some steps on some things. Like I know we've worked hard on the First Step Act. It's just the first step, with the criminal justice system, but, that was passed into law. I was able to get, some things like there's something going to the president's office now dealing with cybersecurity and technology and the federal government. And we worked in a bipartisan way, but it's been tough. It has been tough. It has been frustrating and embarrassing, to be honest with you, at times, or a number of times.
You have managed to have some legislative successes. You mentioned cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us about the Internet of Things?
Right. That is my legislation. Believe it or not, we worked on for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I take my hat off to my staff. That's the federal government having legislation, rules, and regulations around the technology that we purchase, and that we have to make sure that is safe and sound. So it deals with cybersecurity. And I worked with Rep. Will Hurd, who we work together a lot. He's not coming back, unfortunately. And Senator Warner worked with Senator Gardner, who also is not coming back, to get this passed in the House and get it passed in the Senate. And because the person that I work with a lot on tech issues, not that I'm any big techie, is Mark Meadows. And so now that he's the chief of staff, I'm hoping that he shepherds this bill to be signed by the president.
That's a nice transition. What are you, speaking of transitions, what are you looking forward to with Biden presidency?
Oh gosh, so many things. Well, first of all, we have to right the ship. There's things that President Trump has done that I know President-elect Biden, wants to immediately change. But first and foremost, we have to crush the virus. I mean, we just have to do it. And President-elect has people in place already. I was just in a meeting, I think yesterday, or maybe the day before. My days are rolling together with the task force for the coronavirus. So, hopefully with the vaccines looking like they'll be out before this year's out. And then, of course, it'll go to the healthcare folks first because they're dealing with, folks, but then making sure that it goes to the communities disproportionately affected. It has to be equitable distribution of the vaccine. But then I look for uplifting, our economy, an infrastructure bill that we already have in place in the House that will put a lot of people, back to work. And then also mending fences internationally, And I mean, there's so many things, work around the environment, a continued work around social justice issues. He's going to be very, very busy, and we're going to be very busy. And hopefully, because of his relationships in the Senate, his long-time relationships in the Senate, some of the gridlock will go away. God, I hope so.
That would be welcome, I think, probably on both sides of the aisle.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think anybody really goes to Congress to do nothing.
Right.
Maybe some people actually want to make a difference, and you're certainly one of them. You have championed firearm gun reform legislation. What would you like to see done? What do you think is possible with a Biden presidency?
Well, you know, we already have the background check bill that we passed in the House, and closing we call it the Charleston loophole, but closing loopholes around background checks. But what my colleagues have heard me say over and over and over, in places like where I represent, we also need national bills around gun trafficking and straw purchases. 50 to 60% of our crime guns, you know, people talk about Chicago, but they're not even from Chicago. I mean, Indiana, Wisconsin, and sometimes as far south as, you know, Mississippi, we have to do something about that. We have to give the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, the resources they need. We hear that they've been slowly bled through the years, so they can't even carry out, you know, some of their mission because they don't have the resources and tools or personnel, you know, that they need. So those two things, trafficking and straw purchases, we have to have some federal legislation around that. Then the other thing is, it's not just about legislation. We have to invest in our communities. You know, we talk about the social determinants of health, and I talk about the social determinants of life, you know, that we have to inject opportunity and hope, you know, in some of the communities. And then, of course, you know, as far as gun violence, still the great majority is suicides, and even suicides have increased because of COVID and, you know, the economy and people being, you know, so stressed out. So we have to make sure, you know, that people have access, you know, to mental health. Yeah, that's the other thing. So there's so many things, you know, that will be on their plate, but there are also programs and legislation that have already been, you know, they've just been waiting for a partner in the White House.
I see that you put forward legislation, and with that comes many concerns for first responders and suicide. And our fire chief spoke on that a few years ago, just a couple of years ago, at our October memorial service for fallen firefighters. What would you, the African-American community, people of color in general, have been targeted by drug legislation, and have suffered arrests where, you know, now with the legalization of marijuana, there's a huge step forward in people finding some kind of relief. What do you think needs to still be done with respect to the so-called war on drugs that hopefully we're dismantling? You're muted. Sorry.
Okay. Well, as I said, we passed the First Step Act that allowed some people to get out of federal prison, but that was just the first step. We definitely, it's a combination of things. People should not be going to jail. People that were put in jail for marijuana, and depending on what state you're in, they should be getting out of jail now, because now people are legally buying it, where people went to jail for it, not too long ago. So they definitely, should be released from jail. Actually, federally, marijuana is still not legal. So it's state, by state, but it should be legal, for one thing, and that would take a lot of the, issue off the table, as far as that's concerned. But there's just, to me, it's about the drugs, but bigger than the drugs. We just need to make sure we have a fair legal system and court system, and bond system and bail system. Goes all the way, all the way through the whole system. It's not just one thing or the other.
Yeah, we had a decent discussion with our police chief, Chris Menino, some weeks back. And criminal justice reform is still on the horizon, I think. We had a very, very busy summer, and with the demise of George Floyd, and so that is is there anything that you're looking for on the federal level?
Well, we have the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act that passed the House, bipartisan, and is sitting on the desk of Mitch McConnell. So, if it doesn't pass in this lame duck session, then, we will refile and get it passed in the 117th Congress. So I hope to get it passed. I mean, we can't give up. We're still going to push and do, everything we can do. And hopefully, which happens a lot, states are more, they can get things done quicker sometimes than we can on the federal level, even though it needs to be a federal law. But, whatever we can't do, but I'm going to be positive and say we can do this. Hopefully the states are looking at what can be done also.
So all eyes are on Georgia now.
All eyes, yeah. My eyes are.
And what do you think our chances are? I say are because I'm going to.
It affects the whole. I could take the easy way out and say 50-50. Because they're going to win or they're going to lose. But I know that, like you said, all eyes are on. The Democrats know how very important, this is, and, to get these two people in. And we got a little bit closer, we didn't get to the promised land like we hoped, but I'm hoping that I know everyone, if they need us to come down, we'll come down. Phone calls, postcards, people are really gearing up. And it's hard with a special election because people were geared up and voted in November, and then to get them, going again. One thing that's lucky is that Georgia is not Minnesota or Illinois, where it's freezing out, in January. And so hopefully weather, won't be a deterrent. I know they get bad weather sometimes, but, not like up north. So I'm hoping against hope that we can pull this off, because that would be a faster way, of getting things done.
Congresswoman, is there anything else you'd like to say to members of your district or park foresters or?
Well, I don't want to sound like anyone's mother or lecturer, but please, please, please wear your mask. If you don't do it for yourself, do it for everybody else. That's what it's about. And remember to be, physically distant and wash your hands. Government can only do so much. We're depending on, the public to do their part in all of this. Is just so very important. We want to get, past this. The government or Park Forest wants to get past it. We want to get past it, congressionally. The governor wants to get past it, and we won't unless people cooperate. And the other thing I'll say is, even though my office has been closed, but we're still answering the phones. We're still there, 708-679 0078. Do I even know my own number? Because I don't call myself. 708-679-0078. And there will always be someone answering the phone, even though we may not be in the office. So, don't hesitate when you have questions. And last but not least, of course, happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays to you, and congratulations on another successful election.
Well, thanks for rehiring me. I love my job.
And we look forward to chatting in the future.
Thank you so much. Take care. Good to see you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.